Hi, it's Sunday, June 3rd, 2018. Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So this is a, excuse me, this is a Sunday special live stream. I'm going to answer questions here that I've written down from the viewers. And I'm going to talk about markets, economics, conspiracies. The reason I put it in brackets or in quotation is that I think a lot of the conspiracies are becoming truth. And also Q&A. I'll answer other questions aside from the ones that I took down. And I'm also, before I start, I want to talk about D-Day. It was Over Here who asked me to do a moment of silence for D-Day. D-Day is on June 6th. It was originally June 6, 1944. That's when the Allies invaded France and led to the end of the war. It was in 1944. And I even, in 1994, I bought this book of stamps celebrating the 50th anniversary. And I even got the stamped on June 6th. I bought these D-Day stamps. So we'll have a quick 15 seconds moment of silence for all the people who were involved in D-Day, all the people that died on those beaches in Normandy. So we'll start now, 15 seconds. So that's it, 15 seconds for the D-Day, everyone that died at D-Day. And I'd like to say that just because of D-Day, I want to make sure people read this book, War is a Racket by Smedley Butler. I'm not having a go at the people who were at D-Day. A lot of them, they didn't know who or why they're really fighting. And that's why I think it's important that everyone reads this. It's called The Anti-War Classic by America's Most Decorated Soldier, Smedley Butler, War is a Racket. So I highly recommend that. So who have you got on here? We've got 50 viewers already. That's good. Billy's here today. It's really hot outside today in London. I did play golf this morning, so it was nice. I played all right. I played just a little bit over my handicap. So we've got APT. Good morning, Mary. Good morning, APT. Adam Rodriguez. Hi, Adam. What a shambles. Hello. What a shambles. Joshua Monaco 64. Have you checked out the amount of airdrops EOS holders get? Josh, the airdrops, EOS will become a network, and it could be an infinite amount of airdrops over the years. I've already got one called EOS DAC. So it's not like set in stone. EOS doesn't make the airdrops. There's other developers who are on the EOS blockchain who will choose to do airdrops. So it's not something that is fixed in stone. And different projects will probably give you different amounts of airdrops depending on how many EOS tokens you've got. Eric Jonkers, FUC Islam. I don't know why you're talking about that, Eric. I didn't even mention religion here, so please, keep to the subject. Brett Hunter, Mario, where should we put our money instead of the banks? Well, as I've always recommended, gold and silver. Stack physical silver, gold coins, pay off debt if possible. Yeah, don't have a mortgage. Pay off your mortgage if you have a mortgage. What else? Cryptocurrency is an option. It's outside the system. I know not everyone likes cryptocurrencies. Vupti Hansen, hot in Denmark here. Yeah, it's hot here too, Vupti. Ankle Snapner. Hi, all. Hi, Monaco. Hi. Let's see what else have we got? What's your handicap? 6 right now, Domingo. It's 6. The lowest I've been was 3, but that was many years ago before I got married and I just dedicated a lot of my time to golf. Dope forever. Got you live. Awesome. That's good. Good, Dope. I did warn people yesterday in my video I was going to be doing this live stream. Russell Doble, are there short? They short of pitchforks in USA export opportunity. The Sprinkler Ninja, sorry, do EOS airdrops show up in ERC20 wallet? The EOS doesn't do airdrops, okay? It's projects that you are going to use the EOS blockchain. They're going to do airdrops. There has been an EOS DAC airdrop on the Ethereum blockchain. That's going to switch over to the EOS blockchain. But yeah, the thing is, if you got EOS tokens and it's going to be in your EOS blockchain wallet, you will get airdrops in the future forever. If the more applications are built on the EOS blockchain, some of them will do airdrops, some of them won't. So, but EOS themselves, they don't do airdrops. Mario, the money messiah. Jacare Nalagoa, thank you for your donation of $4.99. Good day, Mario from San Francisco, California. I love the show. Keep up the great work. Thank you, obrigado. Yeah, are you from Brazil or Portugal originally, Jacare? I was in San Francisco once back in 1989, and I went to see a girlfriend I had. She lived in Oakland, and then I drove down to play golf with some friends, and I was playing golf the day of the earthquake, and I remember that I had to go back to the airport with the BART because the Bay Bridge collapsed. So that was my experience of San Francisco, and I even went to one of the Oakland San Francisco World Series game, which was nice. Look at Edward Reardon, remote viewing on EOS. Get out. Well, I don't know about that. EO's name is Greek goddess who likes young boys. Well, I saw that. EOS is actually the goddess of the dawn, goddess of dawn, the dawn. I mean, all these gods were really weird anyway. So it's the new dawn. The motivational mind. Not a fan of EOS, but to each to his own. Yeah, I'm not going to cover EOS here. Anyway, I'm going to go on to the questions in a minute that I got. I asked in the video yesterday if people had any questions to ask me. So when these viewers come on, I'm going to answer the questions that they don't seem to be here yet. It's questions from over here. Tony Blaylock got a question from Sedona TV, Terry Sheed, Anders Orsted, and Bobby Blake. So if they're here, let me know. So you got me too. Good afternoon, sir. My question is, politically speaking, we are witnessing the end of socialism since it can't finance and we are shifting to a more capitalist private world. I would like to believe that is true. Yeah. I mean, Martin Armstrong thinks that we're going to go into a wave of private sector, that, government is going to shrink. That would be good. A lot of people wouldn't like it, though, because there's a lot of people who depend on big government and the state. That's why I try not to depend on government so much. But I think that would be a good thing. Of course, it would be very disruptive for many people, like people in Europe, especially continental Europe, even in the UK, who depend so much on government. I mean, Europe, almost 50% of all governments spend almost 50% of GDP every year. I think the UK maybe a little less, France a bit more. So, Book Loish, hi Mario, what's your opinion of the hardware failure that caused Visa chaos? I haven't, I talked about that. I had, at the time, I didn't see what the hardware failure was, but so I can't really, I don't have any, I haven't read about it, but I saw that on Friday there was a lot of problems with the Visa cards. Mr. Bastion 77, do you think the economy will collapse in the summer 2018? Yeah, there's always a lot of people predicting these things. It's difficult to say. We've been waiting for a long time. So Sedona's here, Bobby Blake is here. Let's go to these questions. Let's answer Sedona's question. Political pressure prevents. It's talking about Italy and Italy getting out of the EU, I think, and if it would be difficult for Italy to leave not the EU but the Eurozone. People get this wrong. The Eurozone is like the countries that are in the EU and have the euro. For example, the UK is still in the EU, but doesn't have the euro, so it's not in the Eurozone. Europe could get, Italy could leave the Eurozone or the euro, but there will be a lot of political pressure, that from the establishment, like in Italy, and the establishment in Brussels. Look what the president of Italy did when this coalition appointed an economist as finance minister that was very anti-EU. He rejected the government. So that's the answer to the question. But I read an article on Zero Hedge by JP Morgan saying that Italy, they've got really almost nothing to lose if they leave the EU, the Eurozone, or the euro. They would, the people who have a lot to lose would be the ECB, who's and the German government, central bank, German central bank. They've got about 460 billion euros of loans to Italy. So let's see here. Bobby Blake, he had a question, and he's here. So bail-ins, CDI, FDIC insurance. Yeah, bail-ins are basically when the banks take depositors' money when they're going bust, instead of having the government bail them out. And why they brought bail-in rules is that because the next time it happens, people will be really, really unhappy about having a bailout, because they did that in 2008. So a bail-in is when the bank takes your money. The FDIC insurance in the US, $250,000. But I looked into the FDIC to answer your question, and right now there's $12 trillion of deposits in U.S. commercial banks, right? And the FDIC holds $92 billion insurance, which is 1.3% of that 12 trillion. So if the crisis were to be really systemic, Bobby, the FDIC would be, they wouldn't be able to cover anything. They're only covering 1.3% of all deposits. So yeah, totally underfunded, as Joseph Sansevero says. Let's see here. FDIC is for things like bank robberies, not financial crisis. It is for, when small banks collapse or go under. There's a lot of banks in the US, the FDIC does cover it. and they pay the depositors, the people with 250,000 or less. So in the bail-in, if you have over 250,000, if your bank goes bust, you'll be covered for the 250, but everything above there you won't. In the UK, I think it's 75,000. The insurance it came down from 85,000 a few years ago. Sam Bradbury, Mary, your thoughts on the Sun Exchange project? Haven't heard about it, Sam. I'm sorry. Jacques Nalagoa, is Deutsche Bank being penalized for regulations or just bad bets on accumulating trillions in derivatives and now paying the price of higher interest rates? Yeah, it's all about the derivatives, but it's not only Deutsche Bank that has a huge derivatives book. It's all the big international banks, all the SIFI or the too big to fail banks. So I'm going to answer. So I'm going to talk, as you can see, I said that I was going to talk about conspiracies. Over here, I don't know if he's here yet. I'll wait for him to come on. Maybe you guys can ask other questions. Jim Califf, when finishing gold wars, gold stock ownership and derivatives seem to be in the tangle. No clear-cut ownership, but a nightmare to untangle. Buy more gold coins. Which three would you recommend? Which three gold coins? I mean, I guess you're in the U.S. Yeah, buy the U.S. mint coins, I guess, or go to a gold dealer as well. You know, the 1 ounce coins, or even some of the old 90%, you know, pre-1933 coins. Doesn't have to be numismatics. Not all of them are collector's coins. You can get some nice ones. Hi, Brian, the maestro. Good morning to you. It's afternoon here, but yeah, it's still you've still got 45 minutes of morning in Florida, I guess. Yeah, gold eagles are good, you know, and you've got double eagles, which is $20, like pre-1933. You got the eagles, which are $10, and half eagles, which are $5. Yeah, buy some old gold coins as well. Britannia in the UK, or sovereigns. Sovereigns really are great, are the best. I mean, 1 ounce Britannias are nice, and they're all capital gains tax free. Krugerrand's good as well, Jim, and they also have half ounce Krugerrands, 1 ounce Krugerrands, even a quarter Krugerrands. Gold bars, yeah. I mean, if you have a lot of fiat money saved, if you're a big investor, you can buy some gold bars. I like the 50-gram bars, 20, even 100. But if you only have like a small amount of money to put into gold, if you buy 1 bar with all that money, if you want to, you know, exchange some of that gold for fiat, it's difficult. So I recommend smaller coins if you don't have that much to put into it. British sovereigns, yeah, they're good as well. Even in the U.S., sovereigns are good. City Guyable, a banker at Chase told me to read the FDIC statutes and codes that it's scary, antiquated, that they can pay you back in horses or something. Probably. The other thing the FDIC did, I think about 3 years ago, and this law was passed just before Christmas. They actually, all the big banks in New York, the investment banks, they now are guaranteed by the FDIC for their derivatives positions. You know, banks like Citibank, J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs. So they are going to dip on into the FDIC fund, the banks as well. This was under Obama. If you Google FDIC on the hook for the banks, you know, they passed that 3 or 4 years ago. Charles Patterson, hi, I'm Aaron. Hi, Charles. Sanjit Nyogi, almost every household in India has some gold. Purchasing gold is nothing new. Yeah, I know Indians are really big into their gold, and a lot of the time they can buy jewelry almost for the gold value, the spot price. And Indians also they're into 22 karat gold. Is it 22 or 21? I'm not sure. 22 carats. Um, Dime coins, I have some 64 and prior dime coins. They're really good as well. The silver dimes. Mima, can you explain the fluctuating market cap in crypto? Can it go from the 354 billion to 1 trillion? Then, yeah, I mean, the best way to explain it, Mima, is that it's volatile. When Bitcoin was almost at 20,000, we went up to 700 billion. I'm not sure where we're now exactly, around 450, 500. So it's because it's such a new market and it's such a small market, and that money comes in and out, and it's very volatile. Yolanda Maru, why 22 carat? Well, that's what the Indians like, 22 carats. It's almost 24 carat is 100% gold. 22 is like 22 24ths. That's just tradition in India. Brett Harmon, Mary, what's happening with UK yield curve? Nothing really, Brett. Not much. If anything, the 10-year yield dropped this week and then it went back up towards the end of but the UK yield curve is steep. Someone a few weeks ago mentioned the 50-year going under the 30-year, but that's only because pension funds in the UK bought the 50-year because they needed the yield. But that's happened, the 50-year has been below the 30-year for over a year, so it's nothing new. Firefly Robert, hello, I really enjoy your broadcast. Many thanks. You're welcome. Yes, Andrew, I heard about all the gold in the Hindu temples. So I'm going to go a little bit into the conspiracies, and I think conspiracies are becoming more and more. It's the fact, and I think it was the CIA who invented the term in the '60s, conspiracy theory, just to make sure that the public didn't know what they're talking about, that the public didn't expose what they're doing, because they're dark actors, the CIA, MI6, and over here asked me to talk about that. I usually don't cover these conspiracies on my videos, but I will. And one guy I met a few years ago, and I've read his books, is Christopher Story. He's an English economist. He was an advisor to Prime Minister Thatcher, Margaret Thatcher, and he died in 2011. I think he wrote this book, The New Underworld Order. You see, he also used to write the International Currency Review. It says exposing the biggest hidden network of financial corruption, and this is in 2007. And I actually was in contact with him. He had a website, and I actually met him. He said, and he was very nice. He said he went to Oxford, or I think Oxford or Cambridge, I'm not sure. And he even went to school with Rothschilds. And he said that it's the intelligence services that run the UK and the US and all the other countries. So, all the politicians that we have that are elected, they're all controlled by, the CIA, MI6, and I believe that. So let's move on to some other question. I'll come back to the conspiracy. So let's see. Seth Shepard, I am golfing soon. Just wanted to stop by for 10 minutes. Yes, Seth, I played this morning. I teed off just after 8. Competition played all right, but I didn't putt very well. Well, I putted all right. I had 3 birdies. I shot 7 over par, which isn't too bad. Billy likes conspiracies. Yeah, he does. Uh, let's see. What would cause the world's central banks to lose control of their bond markets? Um, well, if if investors started unloading them, um, but it's kind of difficult to see it at the moment because a lot of the pension funds and the government pension funds, like local government pension funds, not only in the US and Europe, they're forced to buy government bonds. But if inflation starts rising, which or which is already started, but they lie about it. So I think one day it will. Bonds are way overvalued, in my opinion. What will trigger it? I don't know. But once it happens, it will be quick. Mima, have you served in any intelligence service? No, no way. I was born in Brazil. I've lived in the UK for 25 years. I worked in finance. No, that would be probably the last thing I would do. I've got Brazilian passport, Italian passport, and no, no one's ever asked me to do any intelligence work. Um, I guess I wouldn't be bad because I can speak several languages. I feel quite comfortable everywhere in the world. So, but I'm not interested in working with these guys. Yeah, there's an interesting book here that I'm just want to show about. It's written by L. Fletcher Prouty, and it's called "The Secret Team." So the CIA and its allies in control of the United States and the world. Fletcher Prouty used to work for the CIA. And this is what Oliver Stone says about Fletcher Prouty. And I read, Fletcher Prouty is a man whose name will go down in history. He will be raised from the present history books, his version of history repressed, yet in time he will endure. So that's another interesting book. He talks basically how the CIA lies about everything. That's their that's their modus operandi. That according to ex-CIA guy. Patrick, thank you for the £2 donation. Roy Stock, how would you get rid of these intelligence service control? Yeah, that's a good question. It would have to be done through the elected officials, but they're all compromised. They spy on the politicians probably to keep, to get a lot of dirt on them, so that if they go against them, they can bring out all this dirt. So that's really difficult, really difficult. They've been entrenched, unfortunately. But I think it's good for people to know that this is what it is. This is what we have, so that they don't trust government and politicians, because they don't really have our best interest at heart. Very few do, like Ron Paul, of course. Roy Stock, how would you get rid of, yeah. Yolanda Marumaneco, you should be using wallets that support SegWit for Bitcoin. I think I do have one. It's called Blockchain, and I did get some Bitcoin Cash. Sanjit Neogi, the solutions of survival is simple, in my opinion. One, have no debt. I agree with that. Two, buy gold if you can. I agree with that. Three, live a frugal life. I agree with that. Save as much as you can. I agree. And number four would also be make sure you smell the flowers once in a while. And by that, I mean, enjoy yourself a bit. Get out there. If you can, of course. Subtle forces prevail. Intelligence agencies are able to control everyone via blackmail. Yeah, that's right. That's right. There's also the story about Operation Mockingbird, and I think they testified in Congress, like people from the CIA, saying that they do have assets in the media, so they're entrenched everywhere. These people. Jessel Patrick, what happens after 30 days? Charles Patterson, is there anyone here who reads a contract before you sign it? Yeah, you're right. I mean, especially like on the internet, when you get like all these, a lot of times I just scroll through it. Yeah. Alberto Ortega, he's asking a question in Portuguese. He's basically asking where I think the crisis starting USA or Europe or Italy, Deutsche Bank. How can we protect ourselves? Gold, silver, and crypto. Yeah, the protection is gold, silver, and some crypto if you're into it. It's outside the system. Even if the internet goes down for a long time, if you have your private key, you still own the crypto. I think it could start in Europe. Yeah. Um, in '08, it actually started in the US. So it's difficult to say. It looks like it could start in Europe. It's already starting in countries like Brazil, Argentina. Maybe it's starting at the periphery this time. Uh, Tom Manley, pedophilia is the glue that holds the team together. Yeah, that's a big problem. I think the establishment everywhere in the world, Belgium, we've heard stories, the UK, the US. There's a woman on the internet. Her husband was an admiral, I think, in the US Navy, and she talks about that. They use that to blackmail them. It's like uh, all these people, they rise to the top because they are blackmailable. City Guyable. The joke in Serbia was that the EU would collapse before they ever considered Serbia for membership. You could be right. Hi, this is iJetso. Hi, Mario. I read that in order to suppress Italian bond yields, the ECB, Japan central banks use large currency swaps to buy them, and they have to declare it for 30 days. Uh, yeah, that's called the sterilized, operation. And what is sterilized? Well, is that they take money from like they sell some short-term paper, like in Japan or other central banks. Then they buy the Italian paper, and then for 30 days to calm the market, and then they sell it again and put it back where it was before, just to stabilize. So it's not actually QE. So it's called sterilized. QE is non-sterilized. That would mean that they just create money out of thin air and buy it. And the Bank of Japan and other central banks, they could just lend a lot of money to their commercial banks, and they could go into the market, the big international banks. But I hadn't heard that they were doing that and that they had 30 days to report it. But that makes sense, though. I could see them doing that. David L., thoughts on the 1988 Economist magazine cover for 2018 gold coin? What are your thoughts, Mary? Yeah, I mean, it could be true. These guys, do they really have that much control? Yeah, I think so. Rothschilds own the Economist magazine. What does that coin mean? It looks like a gold coin, doesn't it? It's got like I think it's a theta, or it's got a Greek alphabet letter. So, talking about the Rothschilds and the Economist magazine, I'd like to talk about another. It's not even a conspiracy; it's a fact. And you guys, I did a video back right after I started this channel. It's only got 190 views, but if you search on my YouTube channel, "Climate Change: A Backdoor to World Government," says George Hunt. This is a guy, he's dead already, and this is a video. And if you Google George Hunt's climate change, it's a really interesting video. And he talks about how in the 80s, the Rothschilds were heavily involved in creating this agenda of climate change as a money-making, operation. I'll put the link here for the video if you want to watch it. So yeah, uh, the bankers are behind the climate change agenda. Um, how are they going to make money on it? Well, they're already, they already have carbon trading. That's the other thing they want to do. It's an excuse for people, for governments in the West to tax people. And who benefits from taxes? Banks do, because they lend a lot of money to the governments. And if the governments can tax us, they'll get their loans paid back. Um, So yeah, that's the other conspiracy. It's not really a conspiracy; it's a fact. Edmund Rothschild. There's a guy from the UN as well that was involved. Was a friend of the Rothschilds. Canadian guy called Maurice Strong, and he's gone as well. He's not around anymore. You go to Meteo. Hola, Mario. No actual. I'm gonna translate it. In the current state of the economy, the global economy, we can say that. Oh, he's actually asking, can we actually say that inflation's not going up, but the currencies are being devalued? Well, it's the same thing. Currency devaluation is inflation, because why do prices go up? Prices don't go up. It's the currency that goes down. So governments are lying about inflation. If if your currency goes down, that means you can't buy as much, because things will go. If your currency is going down, real things are going up. So it's the same thing: inflation and currency debasement. City guy boy just saw a chart on Bloomberg Friday. Males 35 to 44 non-employment continues to tumble. The most productive demographic during their most redemption. Yeah, I know. Not things are not well. It is just a Potemkin village. Our economies, Potemkin. You guys probably heard of Potemkin. It was just a fake town built in Russia. I think during uh, one of the emperors wanted to show a town, and they just made it up. It wasn't real. Charles Patterson, Maurice Strong liked his child sacrifice, and he sported a high priest robe. I think he's frying eggs with Ned in Gehenna. Yeah. Yeah, Billy does snore. He does snore, Billy. Tom Manley, watch Dave Janda. I do. He's good, Dave Janda. He's from the People's Republic of Ann Arbor, Michigan, isn't he? David Janda. RJM. Hi, Mario. Hi, RJM. How are you doing? Uh, Miranda, what do you think the Visa crash on Friday was about? I don't know. I did a video and talked quickly about it. I haven't looked into it further. It might have been just a glitch, but it was in the UK and in the EU. Is it an experiment, maybe, or an exercise? I don't know. But it just goes to show that it's always good to have some cash, even though it's fiat cash, or even gold and silver. Thomas Torsey, U.S. has always profited from more turmoil in Europe. Deep state will plan more terrorist attacks throughout Europe and engage Russia via Ukraine right when the U.S. dollar begins to collapse. I agree, Thomas. That's been happening. It happened in the 70s in Italy, the Brigada Rossa, I think. All the terrorist attacks in Italy. Um, yeah, it's ongoing, unfortunately. Alberto Iago Ortega, being a free thinker like yourself, how could you work at the city for that long, knowing it from the inside? What's your take on it? Isn't it the nastiest place on earth? Well, I started out in banking or finance in the late 80s. And I have to, when you're in the system and you don't forget, back then there was no internet. I still read a lot of books, but I really only started looking into the monetary system back in 2002. Um, and then I started learning about gold and what happened in the past. So it took a while, and then I still worked for another 10 years in the city. It's not easy, because if you're making a living, to just give up, you know. So, but I don't think everyone in the city or on Wall Street is a bad person. Some of them don't even, they're just doing what they have to do. But I think it goes more. The problem is more at the top. You know, the law, that the rules, the laws and the acts. The system, the central banking system. It makes everything worse. Bobby Blake, do you believe that hyperinflation is coming to America soon? Some sites say we should arm ourselves for coming chaos. Will it be that bad? Um, Hyperinflation, I mean, the last time I think you had hyperinflation was during the Revolutionary War, and maybe in the South during the Civil War. So it's been a long time. Um, do Americans need to arm themselves more? Maybe, but one thing about hyperinflation is that it doesn't last for that long. Uh, it's really bad when it happens, though, but it lasts for a few months, maybe 6 months, and it's probably not a bad thing in the long term. But the problem about the U.S., and I've spoken about this before, is that the U.S. Has had it so good for so long that something like that would be quite disruptive. People would not like it. In Brazil and other countries, it's like par for the course. Brett Harmon, Mario, what would be best way to pick up silver in the markets? Safe or hard, only hard silver? Uh, Well, Brett, the way I looked when I wanted to buy silver, I just looked at Googled and looked, or to see if there are some dealers nearby where I lived. That's the best way. Nowadays, you can buy online as well, coins, bars. You can even buy on eBay, like the junk silver, the 1964 and pre-1964 silver. David Shin, what's your opinion on the EU collapse? They're not going down because it's a political union. Well, there's two things. There's the EU and the Eurozone. EU is the European Union. Eurozone is the countries in the European Union that use the euro. Not all the countries in the EU use the euro. So, yeah, there's a chance that a collapse of the, or countries like Italy or Spain leaving the euro could unravel the European Union. For now, it seems pretty strong, though, politically. Andrew Skelton. Hi, Andrew. Nice to see you here. Hi, Manek. I finally managed to get on your live stream at last. Very good, my friend. Yeah, nice to see you here, Andrew. Uh, Tom Manley. Yes, a library was our internet, Mary. Yeah, I remember. I used to like at university, going to the library a lot, or even when I started working in Switzerland, in Geneva, there was a English language bookstore right under my office, and I used to go there a lot. And if they didn't have books that I was looking for, they used to order it for me, which was nice. So the internet just makes it easier. I could go back to without the internet in terms of books. I guess if we didn't have internet, we couldn't be talking here, of course. The Sprinkler Ninja, go to your local pawn shop. Yeah, pawn shops are good too. Um, but make sure you look care. It's a reputable and it's been there for a long time. Zeraven, what cryptocurrencies do you recommend we get? Well, I don't give advice. You should do your own homework about cryptocurrencies. That's what I've done, and just listen. Yeah, I don't want to give advice. Rod Panhard, it's cheapest for the UK to buy from Europe with VAT reduction 7%. Yeah. Uh, Alberto was saying, sorry if I misunderstood. I'm not saying you're a bad person. No, I didn't think you saying I was a bad person. Yeah, London is the biggest. The reason why London is such a big banking center is because London is actually a corporation. The city of London is a corporation, and what I mean by the city, it's not like Chelsea or like. Other parts of London is just the city of London. It's like sovereign, and yeah, it's like they their rules are really onto themselves. You know, the Bank of England will close uh, a blind eye to institutions doing business. You can do business in London, but be based somewhere else. So they let you do anything. The other thing about London, they have rehypothecation, unlimited rehypothecation. And what does that mean? That means that you can lend assets many times over, many times as you want, so people can, and that is fraudulent. Matt Bro 402, do you like XRP? That's Ripple, isn't it? To be honest, I've never really looked into Ripple. I've heard a lot about it, but I've never owned any. Do trading bots work? Best website. To be honest, best website. I prefer, doing the trading myself. I don't believe in all these bots, but a lot of people use them. I haven't really used any trading bots. Let's have a look here. Tom Manley, the Bank of the City of London. Yeah, I mean the square mile. It's. I think it was even when William the Conqueror came over, he gave the City of London an exemption. So the Queen, when she goes into the City of London, she has to bow to the Lord Mayor. And so she's not the Queen of the City of London. And some people think that, yeah, the City of London is the financial center. You've got the Vatican being the so-called spiritual center. And then you have at Washington, D.C. being the military center. And those are the three cities of the, if you want to call the New World Order. Andrew Skelton, City of London, created by the Normans after 1066 conquest. Real capital of England is Winchester. Yeah, that's true, Andrew. Winchester was the old capital. MRJI 78. Hi, what's your thoughts on the Italian president refusing to pass the elected government due to going? Yeah, I mean, I spoke a lot about that. It just goes to show how hard it is to fight these guys, the establishment. And that's just really, they did it in 2012 when Berlusconi won the elections. They booted him out because he wanted to leave the euro, and they put in a former Goldman Sachs guy, Mario Monti, as caretaker prime minister. Yeah, London was a major Roman town or city, Londinium. We still got the London Wall. That's the old Roman wall. It's still around. You can go and visit it. It's near the Tower of London. Ryan Bennett, anyone buying bullion in London, check out the store Sharps Pixley. They allow you to buy with a degree of anonymity, I think, not animosity, but yeah, my favorite in the City of London for gold bullion or coins is Gold Investments, and they are in Leadenhall Market. They've been there since 1980, so 38 years. It's a family-run business, and it's run by the Temple family, Gold Investments. I prefer them to Sharps Pixley. I haven't used Sharps Pixley. Alberto Ortega, what do you think about the UK economy? You optimistic about it? No, we have too much debt in the UK. It's not doing well at all. It's just, yeah, the only thing that's keeping it going is cheap money and low interest rates. When that turns, it's not going to be good. And we don't have a very good currency as well. Oliver Bristol, what is the point of being a city, the freeman of the city of London? Yeah, apparently, if you are a freeman, you can uh, go into the city of London with your herd of sheep. They let you go into the city of London with the herd of sheep. Lee Jenkins, what do you think about David Icke saying the royal family are reptiles? I think he does himself a lot of disservice by doing that. I agree with a lot of things David Icke talks about, but it makes him very loses a lot of credibility. I think he could have had a lot more followers if he didn't stick, to saying people are reptiles. I don't believe it's true. I think they're just like anyone else, even though, of course, they're royal, part of the royal family. And some people even argue that he might be controlled opposition to make people not look into it because he makes himself look sometimes, a bit silly by saying those things. Andrew Skelton, the freemen mentioned in the Magna Carta are the freemen of the city, not on the lands. MC Magna Carta, it's a Norman charter, not English, as people think. Yeah, I used to know a jeweler up in the city. He used to also deal in gold coins, and I used to buy some jewelry as well. My wife, he was in the city, and he was very nice. Unfortunately, his shop was broken into. He's not there anymore, but he was a freeman of the city of London. And he asked me if I wanted to become one, but I never really followed through. And I don't have any sheep. But that's interesting that the freeman you're mentioning about the city is different. Yeah, the freeman of the land is completely different. I mean, the monarch in England is supposed to be a sovereign, but we are also supposed to be sovereigns. And from what I understand, is the monarch is the, how can I say, the top sovereign, but we should be sovereign as well. But we're not. I think we are under commercial or maritime law now, aren't we, Andrew? If I'm not mistaken, we should be under natural or common law, and we're not. Charles Patterson, I think a reworking of the Magna Carta is due. And the Magna Carta as well was just for barons, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Andrew can, clarify this for us. Oliver Bristol, seems to me the royal family are credited with more power and influence than they actually have. I have to agree with that. But they also, yeah, without the royal family as well, a lot of the how can I say, the mechanisms of government and state wouldn't exist, because if you look here in the UK, everything is Her Majesty so, Her Majesty that, you know. So it's weird, but it's still important, even though they don't have uh, much power. But maybe they do. I don't know. Andrew Skelton, Norman feudal law, Monaco. Nothing's changed for the Anglo-Saxon Englishman. Yeah. So you're saying, Andrew, that before the Normans, it was like we had natural and common law, and then the Normans came and uh, screwed that all up, I guess. Tom Manley, the Queen owns a lot of land. Yeah, she does. She does own a lot of land. So let's see another conspiracy. Let's see. I've written them down. So yeah, I think a lot of the wars that we've had, they're all like engineered. So I'll go through a list. We've got the Spanish-American War in the late 1800s, uh, and that started because the battleship Maine, the U.S. Navy, was supposedly it sunk in Havana Harbor. Havana, Cuba, was part of the Spanish Empire, and they said the Spanish did it, but it wasn't really. And they started that war, and from that war, they were able to, uh, get a lot of power. The U.S. They got the Philippines, they got Puerto Rico, they got Cuba. So yeah, all major wars are funded by the Rothschilds. Yeah, they did. They were involved in funding a lot of the Napoleonic Wars, uh, loads of wars, but not only the Rothschilds, other bankers as well. But they love wars because uh, you know they finance both sides of the war. If one side loses, it doesn't matter because they also back the winner. So it's a really good game. And the way they keep people, they come out with these false flags because normally people don't want to go to war and finance wars because most people don't are not really if you think about people around the world, and um, people don't want wars. They just want peace, and they want to live peacefully, take care of their families. So they have to come up with these events that really outrage people, and that's the only way they can start wars. So you got the Maine, you got even Pearl Harbor. I did a small research paper in high school in Brazil at the American school, and these were books from the library, and they said that a lot of people within the government in the U.S. knew that the Japanese were doing these exercises, but they let them bomb Pearl Harbor anyway, so they could get into the war. The Gulf of Tonkin in Vietnam, that's public information, and even the first Iraq War. It's public information that George Bush Sr., his ambassador to Iraq, said, to Saddam Hussein it was all right if he invaded Kuwait. And the reason why he invaded Kuwait was because the Kuwaitis are drilling, sideways into Iraq for their oil. And so the U.S. said, "Yeah, go ahead, invade them." And what happened afterwards? First Gulf War. And the big controversial, conspiracy, of course, is 9/11. I recommend people watch Aaron Russo. He was a film director. He did Trading Places, which is really funny with Eddie Murphy, and he did a documentary called America from Freedom to Fascism, and he talks about 9/11. So those are a few more conspiracies. Um, David Shin, monetary system will collapse while U.S. the Dow will go up, which is only safe haven for all wise money. What do you think? Well, that's possible. In the Weimar Republic in Germany in 1923, when the Reichsmark collapsed, the hyperinflation, German stocks, industrial company stocks did quite well. Banking, insurance, and finance stocks didn't do well. But yeah, hard assets did well, but gold as well did very well. So here's the cheerleader, MM No. Hey, hit the like button, people. Thanks, MM No. Andrew Skelton, yes, that's about it, Monaco. Pretty much the Normans introduced their legal system, but before we were under Anglo-Saxon common law. Andrew Skelton, a mix of Germanic, Danish, Celtic laws encompassing the spirit of Christianity, not so much the rules of its religion. Hope that helps. Thanks. So you're saying that the Anglo-Saxon common law was derived from Germanic and Danish Celtic laws, right? Um, Great 68. GRE 60. I have got 100 million mark banknote from 1923. Yeah, I have some Reichsmark notes too, and I have some Zimbabwe ones, yeah, as well. Rando McMurphy, fiat Ponzi scheme is coming down over the next decade. Yeah, I mean it's we've had it for too long. You know, it's frustrating, but I think I can't do anything else. I can't really, you know, how can I say, intellectually, I know that it's a corrupt system, that it will fail. So maybe it will fail and I won't even be around, but it will. I'll give you 1 penny for that 100 million mark note. Patrick, thank you for the £2 donation on Super Chat. I appreciate it. Boom, boom. What implication would a market correction have on student loans? Well, if it was because of a bond market collapse, it could have an impact. I'm not sure if student loans are a fixed rate, but if U.S. Treasury yields go up, if bonds go down and yields go up, student loans, interest on student loans would go up as well. So Gary Still, Mara, did you see the new American Embassy in London addresses 33 9 Elms? Coincidence or Masonic? Probably Masonic. You know, this is what Christopher Story used to tell me. And I read a lot of his stuff. He used to have the worldreports.org. And he said that they were all, I'm not saying all Masons are bad people, but I think it's been infiltrated. And they use it as well as a cover, the intelligence service, I think. It's funny because the other day, one of my videos was 11 minutes and 34 seconds, and someone made a comment, oh, 11 minutes, 33 seconds, your video, you were a Mason. And I'm not a Freemason or anything. I had a friend who asked me to join his lodge. I went to a dinner and I didn't like it. And then I answered this guy who made the comment about the video. I said, my house in Brazil, the number of the house that I grew up in was 322. And that's Skull and Bones. But I can assure you, my dad didn't even go to Yale. He was from Brazil. But so that's funny. But in terms of the embassy, I can believe they've done that on purpose. Sedona TV, do you think your recent increase in subscribers is a tell that people now see a crisis coming? Maybe a little bit. Not just a crisis, but maybe people are starting to, you know, wake up and to think about, you know, money and like debt. I don't know what it is. You know, I am surprised, but I think it's like if you keep doing videos and you do what you like and you're honest, you know, you're gonna get the new subscribers and hopefully. But it could be, you know, that the people are getting dissatisfied and confused. I think I try to look at under the hood or the bonnet, as the English say, to see what's really going on, you know, and not go into all the distraction, the politics. That's tiring. That's focus on the money, you know. Eki Rash, what happens to gold and silver during a reset? Well, gold and silver, as Jim Sinclair, a guy who's been in the gold market for like many, many years, he said that's what they will use to settle the accounts between sovereign governments is gold. That's how they do the reset. So yeah, it's good to have gold and silver. Jacaranda Lagoa, or Jacaranda Lagoa actually means alligator in the pond. Any big dates or deadlines coming up that could affect the markets? Oh yeah, there is. Well, in 10 days, there's the FOMC meeting. It starts on the 12th, finishes on the 13th, and they're going to raise interest rates, uh, most probably. And then before that, on the 12th, is the Trump Kim meeting. They're going to meet now. So yeah, 12th, 13th. Bilderberg meeting is on. Is it on this weekend? Yeah. So there you go, Bilderberg. So Jim Moore, what impact do you think free energy systems will have when they come out? Hopefully, they will come out. I mean, I've read about Tesla that we could have had free energy for the last 100 years. I remember meeting a guy who used to. He took me and my daughter a long time ago to look at a Formula One team here in the UK. He took us to the factory, and we were driving there. He told me that he was a mechanic. He said he used to work on an engine that could be run with water, and so the problem with free energy, there's no problem with free energy, is whether the powers that be, the people who make money from energy and from banking, will allow it to happen. So the economic growth during the last years in the UK was fake. No, it wasn't fake. Well, it was actually fake, Alberto. I've made videos about it. We've been running budget deficits of 3 to 6%. And the way you calculate GDP is that you add government spending. So the government's been spending beyond its means, and our GDP has been going up by 1-2%, while the deficits have been 3 or 4. So if it wasn't for the government, the UK wouldn't really be growing. The 3% unemployment figure, that's all really. They don't count the people who have given up working, just like in the US. There's huge underemployment in the UK. News unit. Are you from the USA or UK? I'm based in London in the UK. I've been here for 25 years. I'm originally from Brazil. My wife is English. My daughter was born here too, so she's English. She's also got Brazilian passport though. Um, News unit. Do you watch Bitcoin and cryptocurrency markets? Yes, I do. I've made loads of videos about cryptocurrencies. You can go in my YouTube channel and just scroll through. Ray Bennett, nothing is free, especially energy. Uh, to some extent, you're right, but Tesla, what he proposed, he discovered a lot of energy in the ionosphere, I think, and all you needed would be like big antennas in different places, and everyone could be connected. So, yeah, of course, there has to be some capital investments, but it'd be a lot cheaper. Charles Patterson, I left a comment back on Mario's December 12th, 2015 video titled Climate Change, a Backdoor to World Government. Yeah, that was, I'd only started making videos back then on uh, video. Sanjit Neogi, which countries will survive or do well in the coming financial crisis? Uh, I think every country will serve. I don't, countries are legal entities. I guess you could see, like the Soviet Union collapse, and you got new countries. Maybe that will happen. Uh, I don't think anyone will do well, but relatively speaking, already the poorer countries, they're not gonna. It's gonna not be good. But the countries that are gonna feel it the most are the rich countries of the West. Well, supposedly rich countries of the West. Alberto Ortega, do you honestly think my generation will have retirement money with the current demographic figures? Well, your retirement is only, you know, dependent on you. If you're going to depend on government for retirement, then you're screwed. So it's up to you to save your own money for retirement. And who says that we people need to retire? This is another like fallacy as well. Why do we need to retire? I think it's good to keep going. Lee Jenkins, Mario, do you believe in aliens? No, I don't. There's a lot of I've never seen one, so there's a lot of people who say they have, but they don't have any proof. I've never seen, but no, I don't. I don't really. But there could be aliens. I don't know where they'd be from. I don't know. But I saw a good picture on Facebook the other day. They said that uh, the best telescope or lenses to see UFOs, and they had a picture of a big marijuana cigarette. So I don't know. No. Some say they will pump all the debt into cryptos. After that, everyone will be locked into debt slavery, no recourse. If they don't like you, you can turn off your wallets. That could be true. That's why maybe you should have some exposure to crypto because you will have done really well and you won't be one of the debt slaves. So I know it sounds harsh, but we need to look after ourselves. It's I'm just we need to I will retire when I die. Yeah, I think that's a good point there. Nicholas Smith, is there a hidden gold reserve, a stash that the USA government has, or JP Morgan, or even the Chinese? There are a lot of speculative stories or about this. Some say that the Japanese had a lot of gold. I think what was it called? Nakak. I forgot. There's a Japanese name after World War II. They found a lot of gold that the Japanese plundered during World War II. They found it in caves in the Philippines. Maybe it's true. I don't know. Even Bix Weir thinks there's hundreds of millions of tons of gold in the uh, in Arizona. What's it called again? The Grand Canyon. Yeah, Bix Weir thinks there's a huge amount of gold in the Grand Canyon, but I haven't seen any proof. Tanner Gray, the UK is an Orwellian hellhole. Yeah, I mean, political correctness. Yeah, I mean, 1984 is here, I think. It's a shame. Gary Still Mary, what do you think about precious metals mining stocks? Worth owning? They're still frustrating at the moment. When gold and silver go up, they will go up a lot as well. Uh, to be honest, I took some money out of mining stocks and I put it into cryptos because they move a lot more. It's not saying that I won't go back to mining stocks. I still have some mining stocks in my pension, but yeah, they're really unpopular. So maybe it is a good time to buy, but you have to be prepared to sit with it. Hans Holtz, I think Trump is Jesus. Wow. Yeah, that's a good one. I think that's a joke, Hans. So yeah. So I'm gonna answer another two or three questions, and then I'm gonna like call it a day. I think we've had a good session here, over almost an hour and 15 minutes. Uh, Tanner Gray, government will fork Bitcoin if it's successful. Yeah, I mean that's what governments do best. They fork currencies. They fork the dollar many times by printing it. So blah blah blee. How to stop this new world order revolution? I think just trying to talk to people about it, people that want to listen. What I do is I'm trying to wake people up about this. Is just talk about it and do the things. Don't play their game. Like I forgot his name, the guy from India who said that live without debt, try be frugal, buy as much gold as possible. That's how. Don't play their game. Their game is to like make you like worry about things you shouldn't, like keeping up with the Joneses, so to speak. Thank you, Billy and Co. from Russell. You're welcome. Let's see. Nicholas Smith. Would you advise a 33% gold, 33 crypto, 33 silver? Yeah, that seems okay. Yeah, why not? Seems fine to me. But you need to be prepared for the volatility in the crypto. But if it's only a third, so that should be all right. No, become your own central bank. Yeah. Uh, Jim Califwin, goodbye from Central California. Thanks, Mary. Appreciate book recommendations. You're welcome. And thank you, everybody, for the donations. I really appreciate it. And I wish you a good rest of the weekend. And I'll be talking to you tomorrow in my video. Take care. Bye.